Woo, 2020, recruiting rescue. We're going to talk about recruiting now. Just so you know, my name is Valerie Van Boeven. I'm a registered nurse and the co-owner of Approved Senior Network. Our other name, or our old name, is LTC Expert Publications. We changed our name this year, actually at the end of last year, beginning of this year sometime. We got Approved Senior Network trademarked, so we changed our name to do all of our branding as Approved Senior Network and Approved Senior Network Marketing. The website where you're going to find everything related to this webinar is at asnmarketingplan.com. If you see the bottom of my screen there's a couple of websites. asnmarketingplan.com is where all the marketing stuff is. ApprovedSeniorNetwork.com is our more of a consumer-facing site. Of course, you can find fun stuff there too, but asnmarketingplan.com is for you guys. So that is where you're going to find all the things I'm about to talk about today. All right, on our agenda is a couple of things. Recruiting reality, we'll talk about that. Other recruiting models, our model, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and step 5. So placing ads, sending prospects to your recruiting center, prospect takes specific actions, the system takes over, your job made easier. So what I'm doing today is talking to you about all the things that we have done to enhance our recruiting program. Just to give you a little background, we have dabbled in recruiting for a very long time. I know that there are lots of very awesome platforms out there. There is Hireology, there's CNA Jobs, there's a million of them. And some of them are specific to senior care and some of them are not. So what we did was we took the best of all the things that we could and kind of morphed them together and added a little bit of sparkle. And that sparkle is all about automation. So the object of the game today is to show you how to offload the front end of your recruiting challenges. It doesn't mean that everything's going to be perfect because I understand your challenges. I talk to you, all of you, lots of you, your colleagues every single day. And I totally get it. This is the hardest part of probably the entire home care, senior care model. And it is also caregivers, your HHA, CNAs, whatever they are for you. They are your biggest asset. So overcoming this, I have some ideas I'm going to share with you beyond what we do, but I think overcoming these challenges, it's not going to solve itself overnight. But I think if you learn from others who are having a little better luck than you are with recruiting, you'll definitely get some good tips today, regardless of what you do. So recruiting reality, it is a numbers game, just like your marketing. You have 100 leads come in, 10 might close, 5 might close. You have 100 caregivers come through the system, you might hire 5. It's a huge numbers game. So just know that if you can understand that the more you advertise and the way you advertise and what you say in your advertisements goes a long way, especially for those of you who are in New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania. It's hard everywhere, but if you're in Florida, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, if you're in the Sun Belt or in the Northeast, it is particularly challenging. So just know that you need to do everything you can to get as many eyeballs on your stuff as possible. It is a numbers game. Get them through to you, and out the other end will come 1 or 2 really good ones, and that's who you want on your team. We know that prospects are gaming the unemployment system. If you haven't figured that out by now, so my example is this. Have you ever had somebody apply for a job on Indeed, 15 times and never answer you? That's, you know what they're doing? Do you know? Does anybody know? Raise your hand if you know what they're doing, because I know what they're doing. Yes. Okay, so lots of people are raising their hands. So what they're doing is they're gaming the system. Remember that for unemployment, you have to prove that you're at least trying to get a job, right? Or you're looking, or you're filling out applications. So people will do that all day long, and they do not intend on ever answering you. That's how they stay on unemployment. And when unemployment gives them more dough, like, you know, during our lovely year of 2020, they've been able to get a little more money in their pockets from unemployment, which is, you know, meant to help people who have had a horrible time this year and have lost their jobs. I totally get it, but I think that made the hiring process even more challenging for everybody. So folks end up wasting our time, our hours, our energy. We have lots of no-shows and lots of no documents. So even if you have a show, getting the documents from them is another challenge, right? Getting them to show up for orientation is a challenge. So I understand. I've talked to everybody about this, and we've been talking about this for years. So we're going to talk about helping with all that. And the question that I ask a lot of times when I'm talking to a home care agency owner is, why is this such a challenge? I've gotten many answers over the years. In fact, today I was talking to somebody on our netcast about the challenge of recruiting just in general. And, you know, it seems like I would, I guess, probably inappropriately say that this might be a generational issue. You know, we've got a lot of young people who were brought up a different way, and they don't get it. They don't show up. They don't communicate well. And they have a different outlook on life. Somebody else is going to take care of them. I don't know. But I don't even know if it's a generational issue because we have people of all ages who are doing this. So life skills is part of this. And I don't know where that fell off the mark, but let's see. Have you ever had somebody call in sick because they had a flat tire on their way to work and they miss an entire 12-hour shift for a flat tire? Now, that wouldn't happen to me. I might be 3 hours late if it took a long time for me to get AAA there or somebody to help me, but I'm not going to miss a whole 12-hour shift because my tire was flat. I might feel like missing a whole 12-hour shift because that's a bummer, but if you need the money, you should show up. But we have a lot of people who any little thing, they're calling in and they're not showing up for an entire 12-hour shift. Lots of things like that. So life skills, not just being a CNA or a caregiver, that seems to be an issue. Money and pay and sign-on bonus benefits are issues. The perception of your office staff. Now, I am the first one to tell you that I would not be able to do the job that you all do right now when it comes to staffing, the HR stuff, I hear it every day, and I don't know whoever you are that are taking on all of these applications and interviewing. I mean, there are some wonderful, amazing people out there that get jobs with you. But the overall just chasing these people around stuff is craziness. And then you have the caregivers who actually work for you. And I know that people get tired and a little burned out and with call-ins and things like that, but the caregiver's perception of the office staff is really a big deal. So if you have any indication that maybe your caregiver's perception of the people doing the staffing is not as great as it could be because people doing staffing get overwhelmed and they get frustrated, then that's something to think about. So we want the caregiver's perception of the office staff right from the get-go to be a good one, even when it's challenging. And right now, these folks have an abundance of job opportunities, right? So it used to be that they needed you, they needed a job. Now we need them. The table has turned. There are, in any metro area, hundreds of jobs available for them. They're going to take the one that has the most pay, even if it's 25 cents. They're going to take the one that has benefits. They're going to take the one that maybe their friends say is a great place to work. There's a lot of reasons why they make a choice, and sometimes there's no reason at all. But there are abundance of job opportunities out there. So what can you do to set yourself apart? I know that everybody's working on some slim margins here too. So what do you do? We're going to talk about that in just a second. And then a living wage. We all also know that we would love to pay our caregivers $1 million a year to do the amazing, heroic work that they do. Sometimes the days are really hard and sometimes they're really easy, but either way, especially this year, they've all been very brave and amazing people to show up and take care of these folks who are very isolated. So we know they're not making a lot of money. So what can you do to help them a little bit at a time, or a little bit here and there, to make their life a little bit easier? What can you do to make them feel respected, or feel dignified, to feel like, and some of you do this, some of you are already doing this. You're giving them, helping them with transportation issues. Some of you are doing gift cards. Some of you do awards and recognition. Money goes a long way. I mean, that is what we're talking about here. Caregiver recognition, caregiver rewards, caregiver attention and time, helping them with the things that, I don't know, it seems like the home care agencies that I talk to who are having the least amount of issues with staffing, there's still issues, but the least amount of issues are ones that kind of have, this is funny to say, but like a house mom, whether that's the owner or the staffing person or the HR person, someone who's listening, someone who's trying to help walk somebody through a life problem or a life skill, someone who is just being a really good ear and maybe kind of half counselor, half house mom, or whatever you want to call it, and just really making that person feel like family or feel like they're cared about. So keep that in mind as we talk about this. It's retention is all about going that extra mile. And I know some of you do this, but really think about how you can make their experience in working with you amazing. So they'd be totally crazy to leave you. All right. So now let's move on to something else. Other recruiting models. Let's talk about other recruiting models that are out there. There's a million different ways that different systems and different programs and folks do this. Some of them just do job ads. So, like Indeed, they do have applications, but basically it's a job ad thing. Some do job ads and applications. Awesome. Some other recruiting models and recruiting services out there, they do job ads and applications, and then they maybe have texting involved. Or maybe you've been using, Ring Central or something like that. On top of paying for ads and applications and a place to do all this. And some of them just do job ads, applications, texting, and emailing. And some even have video stuff built in and all this kind of stuff. So you can do video chat or video interviews and things like that. So there's lots of models out there. I'm going to show you what our model involves, and you can just kind of give you an idea of what it includes. We have been very, very lucky to find a developer who's created a CRM, which is a customer, or whatever you want to call it, contact relationship management system. We modified it to meet the needs of our home care agencies and assisted living facilities for recruiting and marketing. This is not a place that's going to do your staffing. It's not going to do your care notes. This is not that place, but for recruiting and marketing, it solves a lot of problems. So our recruiting model, and a lot of this is interchangeable and a lot of this is optional, but I'll just give you the rundown. We can do the job ads, a short application, are inside the CRM. You can do text, phone calls, voicemail drops, email, Facebook chat, and website chat. Self-scheduling of the interview, meaning the actual, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. The actual person who is applying can self-schedule their own interview. You can do phone interviews, in-person interviews, or video interviews. I should clarify, we do not offer a video interview portal. You have to use Zoom or Duo, or there's a million of them out there, and you can do it for free. It is HIPAA compliant. There is a mobile app for it for iPhone and Android. In our case, for the model we're talking about today, we do 4 days of what we call the chase. To get the person to fill out an application, we do 4 days of a chase. For the interview, for them to self-schedule, We do 3 interview reminders, reporting for every step of the process, call reporting, no-show reporting, a full application, which is optional, and a full document upload area. So in other words, if you get somebody to fill out an application, but you also need their CNA or their HHA license, you need their driver's license, you need their whatever it is you need from them, proof of insurance, all those things, we have a place that we set up for you for your employees and your recruits to go ahead and upload those documents directly into the CRM, and you can put them anywhere you need to. So all of this is in our recruiting model. Again, some of this is optional, some of this is, parts and pieces can be changed, but this is everything. So let's talk about what that looks like. Everything starts with the SMART CRM. So we've had the CRM for a while. Our clients are using it. We have added some programs and enhanced programs as through the CRM as stuff becomes available to us. We make it available to our clients. We are always trying to upgrade their experience. So whether it's generating regular leads or recruiting or whatever it is, we're trying to upgrade the experience as we go. We can add on as much automation as possible to get people through the recruiting system and offload you on the front end. So if you want to look at it, there's really not a whole lot to look at, but you would go to app.approvedseniorcarecrm.com. It's going to ask you for a login. You don't have one yet, so you won't be able to do anything. But basically, that's where you would go to log in. And 100% of this program runs through the CRM. You can have unlimited users. So if you have 5 staffing people, they can all be in there, or 5 HR people, or 5 people doing interviews. They can all be in there. We don't care. If you have 10, if you have 20, if you want 40 staff to be in there, that's fine. I've never had that request, but that's fine. You can have up to 10,000 contacts. We actually have people with more than that in there, but most of the time, 10 or 5,000 and under. You can upload current staff, old recruits that never, maybe they qualified to work for you, but they didn't finish the process and you want to re-engage with them. Whatever you want, we help you and we can help get that set up. You can email, you can text, you can call, and you can Facebook chat from the actual system itself. It is HIPAA compliant. It is done for you. It is fully loaded for recruiting. And again, there's a mobile app. So this is everything inside. So let's talk about recruiting model step 1, and that is placing the ads. It used to be that you could slap up an ad on Facebook or slap up an ad on Indeed or on ZipRecruiter or wherever, whoever you're using, and just go for it. And that was all you had to do. That has changed quite a bit. We place ads for recruiting almost every day. And I can tell you now that that has changed. I will also tell you, let's go back to that part I mentioned where we were talking about the unemployment system and Indeed.com. I'm sure Glassdoor is the same way. I don't know. They're probably, most of them are probably like this. At some people will use this. I have found that if you use Indeed and you find that people are there's too many competing ads, it's crazy, it's all over the place, nobody's really, people are just using it to prove they were looking or whatever. And I know some of you are like, but Facebook ads, not Facebook jobs, difference, but Facebook ads work really well because we can make them pretty, we can tell a story, we can add emojis, we can do all kinds of cool stuff. Understand that the person who sees that ad on Facebook, first of all, don't use Facebook jobs because it's more expensive than regular lead ads. When we use those lead ads, they only are going to read the first 3 lines or so of that ad. So if you don't grab their attention right then, that's what the ad shows, is like about the first 3 lines of whatever your ad is. If you don't grab their attention right there, it's over. So the first 3 lines of that ad have to be super attention grabbing. So we figured out how to do that. You have to have a budget. Now we tell people in most cases, you could start at $150 a month on Facebook ads for recruiting, not for leads, for recruiting. And in most cases, that's true. Unless you are in a highly competitive market, then I always recommend you go to $300 a month. Just think about that for a minute. $150 a month is $5 a day. $5 is not going to get you very far if you're in a really competitive market. You will get a few people who will hit on that, but you really need to up your game a little bit in a competitive market. So Facebook ads are awesome and they work really well. They are not the job ads though. Just remember that. Job ads, I believe you have to start at $10 a day. If I'm not mistaken, we can start a lead ad at $5 a day. Okay, so the copy, the images, and the platforms you use all matter. If you're doing Indeed, ZipRecruiter, the words you say at the very beginning, they're not going to read that whole long dissertation. They might browse through it, all your benefits, why you should work for us, who we are, why we care about seniors. They're probably going to read maybe a little bit of it, but those first 2 or 3 sentences are what really makes a difference. So that's what we've learned over time. Any images you can add. If you're doing Craigslist, all that matters is what that headline says. That is all that matters, is how you manage that headline. So if you do use Craigslist, it's okay to do it. It's what, $35 a month in some places, $25 a month in others for job ads. But the way you make that headline look and what it says is 100% of how you're going to get people to respond to it. And that is craziness. If you go to Northeast, Northern New Jersey or Jersey Shore Craigslist, and you try to put an ad in there, just look at the ads first. Look at what other people are doing before you place an ad, because you need to be really creative and artsy to get people to see your ad. It's insane. So yeah, placing ads, the copy, the images, the platforms you use all matter. It didn't used to matter. It does now. So if you want to use our system and you want us to place ads for you, we will. You do not have to have us do this for you. You do not have to use us for any ads at all. If you have that covered and you have it covered somewhere else, you do not have to use our services to do that. It's totally your call. We're not opposed to using any service. We find that Facebook, I was going back to why Facebook works better than Indeed. For us, in most places, it works better because the person has more intention with Facebook. With Indeed, they have less intention if they're trying to game the system. With Facebook, they have more intention because they see that ad or it comes across to them and we've targeted them, and they actually fill out that little bitty form that comes on their phone. You know, they're on their phone doing all this, and they fill out that form, and then we ask a couple of deal breaker questions. Like if for example, do you have a car? Or do you have a reliable transportation to and from work? Do you have a driver's license? Do you have a valid New Jersey CHHA or valid New York CHHA? Whatever it is you require is what those questions are. We just ask a couple. We don't go through the whole application there. But what we do is we ask a couple of questions that are qualifiers, and then boom, if they pass those, whoosh, they go straight on to your application process. And they are not trying to use that Facebook ad as proof that they're applying for jobs typically. So it's a little bit more, they follow through a little bit more. You're still going to get people who do no-shows, but that usually works better. Indeed, it's hit or miss. ZipRecruiter, same. Craigslist, same. All of them are same. Monster.com, same. But we will place ads for you, and we will monitor them, and we will update them. And if you don't want us to do that, we don't have to. Totally optional. It doesn't cost you any more or any less to have us do the ads as far as our fees go. It's either yes or no, and we don't charge you to do it or not do it at this moment. Okay, then we drive your candidates to your own recruiting center. So if you've ever used Hireology or watched their demo or been through a demo or looked at somebody else's website who uses Hireology, what happens is Hireology sets up what they call a career site. So in other words, on your website for your agency, your home care agency, or your assisted living, or whatever you have, it's going to say careers or employment opportunities. And when somebody clicks on that, they're going to be taken to another site, whether they know it or not. That site has all of your colors, your logo, and it talks about your jobs. We do the exact same thing, but we call it an all-in-one recruiting center. So your careers page on your main website links to your new recruiting center. Now, everything is one place. It's organized. It's automated on the front end. And of course, again, it's on a HIPAA compliant server. So instead of running people through applications and through things that are already on your website, we just say, boop, we send them right to the recruiting center and we move them through a process that goes really quick. These are some screenshots. So, I cannot put an entire website. If you scroll down, you have to divide it up to put it on a PowerPoint slide. So you have a branded recruiting center. You have a branded landing site or landing page. You have About Us, open positions, a VIP priority application, which is a short application. You have a self-scheduling center, which allows them to schedule their own appointment. I'll show you that in a second. And some of you would like a full application on this center. In other words, they get through everything. You're like, okay, not going to send them a PDF. We're done with PDFs, everybody. We are actually going to have them fill out the whole application. Sometimes they do it in your office. Sometimes they do it from their phone. But whatever the case, if you need a full application on this little career center, our recruiting center, we will put that up there for you. It can be identical to whatever you currently are using. And then we also put a page that's called the Document Upload Center. So you can send anybody you want to. We do ask them to upload their documents in everything we do, but sometimes they don't. They don't have it with them or whatever. It's hard to get them to do documents. So we have a single link that goes to a Document Upload Center. That's just a short form, first name, last name, email, phone. And then here are the documents we require, your CNA license, your driver's license, whatever it is you require. And then they can upload as many documents as they want right there. So we can add or not add any of the things that you want. The reason people do not want us to add a full application, I will give you that, give you that example, is because they use ClearCare Online. So although they want all of this up front, when it comes down to filling out that full-on application, they would rather have the person go straight to their ClearCare link to fill out that full application. And I will tell you that if you're struggling with recruiting and you're having these people fill out a full application right off the nail, and they're not doing it, that's because they won't do it. And so I would recommend to you that no matter what you do for recruiting, that you minimize this upfront work as much as possible. Keep it as simple as you humanly can to get them in your door. If you know that they have their CHHA or their CNA or whatever you require, and they have a reliable transportation and they're not, and they're approved to work in the United States or whatever, if they say yes to those things, move forward with at least a phone interview. And then if they come in, have them fill out that full application. I've told people, put a workstation in your office somewhere. I know we don't want a bunch of people coming into the office all the time, but at some point they're going to have to. So if they are that ready and willing and you want to hire them, then what I would do is make sure there is a small station with a cheap Google Chrome laptop sitting there that you can have them sit and fill out the entire application with your help if needed, because they may not be good at this. And make sure they bring their help, ask them to bring their documents with them so you can make copies. So do whatever you can do to offload their work. I know that sounds like it shouldn't have to be, but it is. It is what it is. So make it simple, get those deal breaker questions answered, get them on the phone, and make sure and then get them in the office. So let's keep it simple up front, because you want to weed out the people who are not going to follow through. And I'll show you how we do that. So if you don't need a full application, that's okay. If you do want one, that's okay too. Whatever you want, we put it in there. All right, short application. Why? I just answered this question. You ask deal breaker questions, you triage them. If they do not have the right license, or they do not have a car, or they do not have something that you know by law they must have to work for you, then move on. Spend time with qualified candidates. This is just a screenshot of a pre-qualification. We call it a pre-qualification survey priority application. It makes it sound important. We call it a VIP application. It is very simple. Can get the whole thing on here, but basically first name, last name, email, phone, address. We ask them a couple of your deal breaker questions again, and we put a document upload option if they'd like to upload any documents at this time. There's a signature so they can sign it with their finger, their e-pen, or their mouse or whatever at the bottom, and a couple of disclaimer things. And we might ask them, if they've been convicted of felony, stuff like that. But it's super, super simple. We're not asking them to give us their references and all their crazy stuff. We're not doing that here. This is to get them qualified. If they meet your criteria, let's move on to the next step. And that is self-scheduling of an interview. Now, I know you think this isn't going to happen, but it does. Believe it or not, it does. I'm going to show you what that looks like. So here's where you have to make some decisions on how you want this to happen. We have people who are all over the map, seriously. We have people who require everybody to come in for a full interview. That's it. They don't do anything else. It's just you come in for a full interview or else no. There's no phone interview. There's no Zoom interview. But then we have folks who have done this so many times that they are pretty smart about this. They do a 15-minute 15-minute phone interview. So I put the options up here of what we see. They do a 15-minute phone interview. Then they have them come in for the real interview and give them the link to the full application. So they either need to fill out that full application before they come in for the full interview, or when they get there, they have a little station set up where the person can do it before or after their interview. So that's the model I would personally use, is the 15-minute phone interview, then the full application and full interview. We also have people who do a 15-minute Zoom interview and want to see the face on the screen, and that's fine. And just so you know, you can use Zoom, Duo, you can use whatever you want. All of those apps can be downloaded to that prospect's phone for free. There is no reason why they can't use the application that you require. So if it's Zoom, have them download Zoom. If it's Duo, make sure they can get on Duo. If it's, Skype or whatever it is, there is no reason why they can't download that on their own phone and do it, or computer or whatever. So a 15-minute phone interview is my favorite. And then some people do the 1-hour full interview, full application in person. That's the way it is for them, and that's okay. All right. So when you figure out which way it is you want to handle this, then we set up the days and times that you specify. If you say, I don't care, I need people, I'll do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. They can pick whatever they want. I'm all in. Okay, we'll make it pretty open. If you say, I only do interviews on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., then by golly, that is all they'll get to choose. And the follow-ups, once they make their little appointment here, will tell them exactly what to do, exactly where to be, exactly what's going to happen, and what they should expect. So you don't have to do any of it. So they do this. They actually schedule their own interviews. So that's awesome. So that takes a little bit. So the chunks of time we're taking off of you are, first of all, we've chased them from whatever job application they've filled out or job place they've been to, Indeed, Craigslist, ZipRecruiter, Facebook. We've gotten them to the point to fill out that short application. We've gotten them to the point, with automation, by the way, to self-schedule their interview based on your criteria. You also have the option of approving these, so that even though I pick 8 a.m. and you said that was okay, you can still approve it, or you can just let it go. As long as it's within your time frame, it's okay. You don't need to actually add that step of your approval. All right, so those are some of the options that you have. Okay, so we do 4 days of the chase for the application. So we do 4 sets of voicemail drop, email, and texting to get the person from the ad that was placed to fill out the application. So what voicemail drop, have you ever looked at your phone and realized that there was a voicemail there, but the phone never rang? That's called a voicemail drop. So we do a very generic, very polite, very happy. We're so excited that you're, ready to work for us, and we'd love to interview you. The next step is to fill out your application. Check your text and email. We're looking forward to meeting you. And I usually record those. It's like, I don't say my name. I just say the name of your company, and I just tell them that we're so excited, and it voicemail drops right to their voicemail as soon as they hit that ad. And then they also get a text with lots of fireworks and cute stuff that goes off. It's a real simple little thing, telling them what the next step is. And we do that for 4 days, and an email. And I was under the impression, well, I still am under this impression a lot, but I was under the impression that caregivers typically don't check their emails. And I will tell you something, that is not true, because now inside of our CRM, I can tell you who's opened their emails. I can see every single email that's opened. And these folks do open their emails. They do, absolutely. So we send them 4 days of text, and they're cute. They have like, the last one is a baby crying. It's got this little emoji of this baby going, boo-hoo, this is your last chance. They're really super cute. And then 4 days, once they fill out the application, it takes them straight to the schedule. I mean, they go from short application, boom, the next page is not a thank you. It's it is a thank you. It's a thank you, but here's our schedule. Which day would you like to pick? So they should just go straight to the schedule. However, some of them drop out, some of them don't, some of them miss it, whatever the case. We chase them. If they haven't gotten their interview scheduled, we chase them for 4 days to get their interview scheduled. And then once they schedule their interview, we send them texts and emails, reminders. We can send them, the last email and text that we send them is 15 minutes prior to their interview. And what I put in there is, are you on your way? If they have to come to your office, or if it's a phone interview, I tell them what phone number they should be watching for, or whatever it is. So 3 interview reminders. They get the approval notice that's been confirmed. They get 24 hours notice, and then they get a 1 hour and a 15. I don't know. You can do as many as you want. You can bug them as much as you want. Typically, if they're not going to show up, they will let you know, because they've gotten so many texts and calls and emails from you. So usually they at least let you know if they're not going to be there. But these work really well. All right, so let's keep going. All right, tools used for the big chase include text. We text them, we use phone calls, or phone, it's actually voicemail drops. You can call them as well, of course. Email, you can also add some Facebook chat. If you get Facebook, people chatting with you from Facebook, I can show you how to do that. We have website chat widgets that we can add to your recruiting center that we set up for you. And that little chat pop-up thing can get them into that same automation. If they see that and they want to like just talk to it, it'll get them into the same recruiting. And we use retargeting, especially for Facebook. So once they have entered the space of your ads and they've clicked on something or whatever, and we have some information about them, what happens is we are retargeting them. So they see your ad all the time. I'm just going to make sure I see a chat here. What I want you to do, if you have questions, is to go to the Q&A section in your little dashboard, your little floating dashboard. So yeah, if you do the Q&A here, let's see, is this free? Is this free? No, this is not free. This is not free. Just so you guys know, it's not free. Okay, so notifications. Notifications are what you guys get. So what you get on your end is important. You need to know if people are actually filling out applications, when something is happening. You can pick and choose how many notifications you want to get. Here is an example for when someone answers an ad, wherever it is, you have a new pre-applicant. Hi there, we're now in the process of helping this amazing person fill out their application and schedule an appointment for an interview. Their name, their email address, their phone number, and this is how they prefer to be connected with, and they said phone. So that comes to you, so you know what's happening. It comes to you by email. And then the next one is, hey, woohoo, so-and-so just fill out an application. Hi there, blah, 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 just fill out an application. We're in the process of getting this person to schedule an appointment for an interview. Please log into the CRM to view more. And then once they schedule their interview, hi there, this person just scheduled an interview with your team. This probably means they have filled out their application too. Here's what we know: first name, last name, email, phone, and here's what they scheduled it for: Wednesday, October 21st, 2020 at 11 a.m. your time. So now you can see, now you know you're getting these notifications, so that if you're not logged into the CRM, you know things are clicking right along and happening, and you're not having to do all of that. This is what it looks like. This is a screenshot I took right before we came on. This is actually one of the people using this system. These are all confirmed appointments. You have 2 no-shows down here, but these are confirmed. And I blacked out the names, but you can see these are all self-scheduled. These people schedule these appointments themselves. The person who is in charge of this did not have to do any of this. They did have to change them to a no-show if they had a no-show, but they didn't have to do any of this other stuff. So we have gotten them from ad all the way through to self-scheduling without human intervention so far for this. 100% automated. So everything we do is automated. We go through all the parts and pieces with you so that you can pick and choose what you need, what you want, times, days, and you can always change that. And we teach you how to take care of this on your own so that if you need to change the times and days, that you can do that or your staff can do that. So if you're off next Tuesday and you know you're not taking any interviews that day, I can mark it off for you on my end. I can help you with that. Our team can help you, or you can go in and cancel out that day, individual days, so that no one can make an appointment that day. And you can do that anytime you want. So, and then once, well, let's go on the next slide. Then it's your turn. So you have the option of confirming interview appointments. You do not have to confirm them if you know, hey, I don't care, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., I'm cool with it, let them go. Then you don't have to confirm them. But let's just say you said, yes, I want to confirm every interview that comes in. I want to see it first and then confirm. That's okay too. We'll set that up. So you confirm the interview, you conduct the interview. When they get there, the application, you can send your qualified candidates to the full application. You can send your qualified candidates to your document upload center. You can invite them to orientation and you can finish up the process. So we take care of the front end. You take care of everything that has to do with confirming the appointment if you choose to do that, and interviewing, application, documents, orientation. Now we can add automation to all these things so that, for instance, let's see, you need reminders. So you interviewed somebody and you said, hey, yeah, you know what? This person's great. They're in. Let's get them to fill out that full application. We can set up reminders and emails and texts to get that person to fill out the full application. We can set up reminders for document uploads. So if you know you need their CNA license or whatever, absolutely. We can set up reminders for document uploads. You need to send out reminders for their orientation schedule. Absolutely, we can help you with that. Whatever you need reminders for, whatever you can think of, whatever would help you, we can set it up. You pull the trigger and the automation goes boom, and those texts and emails are sent out to people. So we are willing to move through the system with you and then say, okay, you've been doing this for a week now. What else can we set up that might be helpful to you for automation? You still are going to have to do some human intervention and answer questions. But if we can do those reminders for you or something else that's important, we will do it. This is kind of my cartoon version of what this looks like. This is on our website. So you have all these people coming in from Zip, Hireology, Craigslist, Glassdoor, Facebook, Indeed, Monster, Google, wherever you're getting candidates from. They can come in from anywhere. They come in the top of the funnel and then they get triaged. They go through a series of steps and boom, one falls out the bottom. Day one, that person gets a welcome, and next steps, they get a voicemail drop, which is that recording that's very generic, but happy and excited that they're interested, an email and a text. And then they usually fill out that short qualifying application. If they don't fill out the application, they get another email and text. And then day three, they get another one. So we chase them for 4 days to get them to fill out this short qualifying application. Once they fill it out, they are knocked out of these other ones. They're not going to get any more emails and texts asking them to do that. So the system is smart, and it knows to quit bugging somebody if they're already filled out the application. And then it bothers them for another 4 days to get to self-schedule their interview if they haven't done it. If they just go right ahead and schedule that, then we don't bug them at all about the interview. But if we need to bug them because they didn't complete that part, it will bug them for 4 days. And then once they self-schedule their interview, we do another voicemail drop, email, text reminders a day prior, an hour prior, 15 minutes prior, as much as you want. I recommend that you only let people schedule a few days out. So you wouldn't want to put in there, we've experimented with this. If you say, oh, schedule your interview, and they pick something that's 20 days down the road, chances are you're going to lose them. So 3, 4, 5 days out is probably good enough to get them in the door while they're hot and they're interested, so that you can get them processed or get that phone interview set up. I have a few frequently asked questions that I'm going to go through, but if you do have a question about how this works or what I'm talking about, please feel free to go to the Q&A section and start asking questions. We're almost done here. So what is next? If you want to learn more, if you want to talk to us about it, it's at asnmarketingplan.com. This is the website you want to go to. There is a contact us form. There's actually a form on almost every page. It's the same form. But what you're going to want to do is mark senior care recruiting. That's the one you're interested in. We have tons of other programs, and we're happy to talk to you about any of the ones that you're interested in learning more about. You can read about them on the website, but this is the one that we're talking about today, is senior care recruiting. So if you fill out this form, then what will happen is you will get a email that that says thank you. And the next step is to set up an appointment with Bob Costello. Bob is our business development person, and he will go over this with you and make sure it's the right fit for you and for your organization. And if it is, then we'll get you all set up. If it's not, that's okay. You're welcome to talk to him about anything you want. I wanted to go over a couple of frequently asked questions. I know that everything can be pretty expensive in the world, so I want to talk to you about what our pricing is, so you know that up front. The setup fee is a one-time fee of $395. As you can imagine, this is a pretty big setup process. This is no small potatoes at all. It's like setting up almost an entire website for your career center, and we're fine with that. But it's $395 one time. And then monthly, it's $250. Although I think through November, don't tell anybody, that Bob may have a discount for that. I'm not allowed to talk about it, but he might. Anyway, so there might be something a little different on this number right here through November. So once you fill out the form on the contact us page of asnmarketingplan.com, instructions will appear, and then you can set up your appointment. You can self-schedule your appointment with Bob Costello. By the way, this CRM replaces all the appointment scheduling software that exists in the world, including Appointlet, Calendly, and anything else you've used. And if you need it to sync up with Outlook, we absolutely can do that. It's a little bit of a workaround, but we can do that. We typically just set up a Gmail calendar for you, but whatever you need, we'll work through it. All right, experience. This is another question I get. Do you have experience with the HHA, CNA, caregiver shortage, ad copy, pay, and sign-on bonuses? I will tell you this. After doing this for a long time now with recruiting for various organizations across the country, if you can afford a sign-on bonus, I would highly recommend it, especially if you're in a really challenging territory. So let's just say, for instance, and I'm not kidding, people in New York are offering $500 sign-on bonuses. However, you do not give that person $500 when they walk in the door. They get it in over the course of time. So yeah, they get $50 for getting in and getting the application and all their documentation done. They get $50 when they get done with orientation. They get $100 when they complete their first week of work. They get the rest of the money when they complete their first 30 days of work. it's a sign-on bonus, but they have to they have to climb the ladder to get all the stuff, because you obviously are not going to hand it over to them. And I don't care what your sign-on bonus is. You can do $1,000 sign-on bonus and stretch it out over the course of 6 months or a year if you want to. But you need to have a plan in place so everybody's on board, like a standard operating procedure on what qualifies them to get that next $50 or that next $100, and do it in small increments. Referral bonuses also get attention. So if you do have employees that are willing to refer, give them some extra dough for that referral. That definitely gets attention. Gas cards get attention. Bus cards might be a ridiculous thing for me to say. Transportation, gift certificates, Uber bonuses, Lyft cards, whatever it is. In fact, some of these folks, Uber and Lyft, work with agencies to get caregivers around. If you can do anything like that, that is worth it. And I wouldn't give somebody a Visa gift card to use for transportation. I would definitely make sure it's an Uber, something that you have some control over, so it's just used for work. But definitely, if they do well, and put that in your ad, because another thing that people will probably look at is what kind of, not benefits necessarily, but what kind of stuff you do for them. What's in it for me, right? And so if you do have attendance bonuses, or if you do have sign-on bonuses, front and center, top 3 lines, that needs to be there. Please consider it. And then just make sure you're parsing it out. Attendance bonuses, monthly rewards. If you start at $11 an hour, try $11.10, $11.15, $11.25 an hour. That little $11.05 an hour. I'm telling you, it doesn't take much to get more attention from folks if you just do the 25 cents addition, or the 15 cents or the 10 cents. I also have noticed that getting someone through, this is especially for our folks who require HHA certification, if they have a CNA and they need an HHA, making sure, getting them through the process, but helping them with, or at least knowing where to point them, or you providing some kind of resource to get them to that HHA certification, or re-upping their certification in some areas, is really helpful. So make sure if they ask that you have answers, or you know how to answer them. And then scholarships. These people would actually have to be on board with you before I would ever do this. And they have to be, they'd have to work for you for 90 days. But if there is something that you can do for them besides CEU credits, to scholarship them for additional training, something that they can do to improve their own work life down the road, then I would definitely consider that. And I'm not talking about thousands of dollars. I'm talking about little bitty scholarships. I remember, by the way, when I was in nursing school, and I realize that's probably like 25 years ago, but hospitals and folks would give you $200 here, $300 there of scholarships if you promise to work for them for the next 6 months, and that worked. Buddy, I took advantage of some of that. So little bitty scholarships with little amount of money to get, and I'm talking about furthering their education in some way. That'll really work. People ask us, do we write the copy? Yes, it's your job ad. Your job ad is the basis for everything we do. We don't put words in your mouth. But yes, we're really good at writing that copy, because it's really that first 3 lines that matters. Do you have to use our ads? You all do not have to use our ads. We do not have to do the advertising for you. That's completely your call. We're happy to do it. Can any of this be modified? 100% of this can be modified within reason. So if you don't want the appointment scheduling, if you don't want this, if you do want that, I'd suggest trying it our way for a little while and seeing if it's something you can morph into. But if you don't, there's something about it you won't do or can't do, we can eliminate it or move it. It doesn't change the pricing, but it definitely is something we can do. And then treating your caregivers like gold. I know that day to day, this can be really challenging, but anything you can do to help those caregivers know how much they're appreciated is worth the time it takes, because the retention, as you know, is so much better than the alternative to having to hire folks. And I know that we have people in our midst that cannot take any more clients right now because they just cannot staff them. And that is craziness. So whatever we can do to help you with any of this process and to keep the fees low, because I know that sometimes when you enter in, and this is monthly, by the way, we do not make you sign a 1-year contract. We do not make you pay up front for a year. None of that. I get it that this is all expensive stuff sometimes, but you definitely can take this month to month. I recommend giving it a minimum of 3 to 6 months to see if it works for you, because nothing happens overnight. But on the other hand, we get it that you might not want to do a full year. That's okay. But if it works great, then you can keep going as long as you want. All right. If you have questions, there's a question and answer tab on your little thing here. I'll go through and answer questions. It looks like I have a few, but go to asnmarketingplan.com and fill out that big form and mark senior care recruiting. Okay. So questions are, what does the color coding mean? I'm not sure. Facebook, if you're correct. Okay, so what does a color coding mean? I'm not sure what that question is regarding, Brittany, but it might be, I'll show you. Maybe I might know what you are talking about. Let me get this out of the way. This color coding, if this is what you're talking about, then that is nothing. It means nothing, actually. The system just gives, this is their initials, and the system just gives them each a color. It doesn't mean anything in particular. So that is, I hope that's a good answer. It doesn't have any meaning. But on the calendar itself, it is color coded. And if you come on board, then we'll share with you what all those mean. But this in particular is just kind of random stuff. It means nothing. Is the PowerPoint available to review or share? I will share this video with you. We don't share our proprietary PowerPoints, but we will certainly share this video. You can fast forward to the parts you want. Facebook ad costs would be in addition to the monthly fee, correct? Yes, it would. You have to pay for your own Facebook ad costs. Yes, you have to pay for your own Facebook ad costs. So that's why I tell people you can start at $150 a month. And and Kelly, in your area, I would say absolutely start at $150 a month for Facebook ads. If you don't want to use Facebook and you are happy with Indeed or Glassdoor or Zip or whatever, you don't have to. We can log in and jazz up your ads for you and put the right links in there so that people are going straight to your Career Center, but you do not have to use Facebook ads if you don't want to. What is the action on the caregiver end that triggers the chase, if not the short application, the part where he falls out of the funnel? Okay, so what is the action on the caregiver end that triggers the chase, if not the short application? So the first part is the ad that they answer. So if they answer a Facebook ad, for instance, the CRM is talking to your Facebook account, and the CRM knows instantly when somebody fills out a form on Facebook. So boom, they are sent into that maze of texts and emails and voicemail drops and all of that. If it's from Indeed, if it's from other places, then we help that along. We can use APIs, we can use a manual action, we can do all kinds of different things to make that work a little bit better. So, and we're really good at it. We have a lot of clients who rely on all of these things, not just Facebook, but they do a huge amount on Zip. They do a huge amount on Indeed, and they need all of those people, because it's a numbers game, all of them filtered into their CRM and boom, setting off all those triggers. So we do that for them. I might have missed this, but will this integrate into ClearCare? That's really interesting, Stephanie. If you contact your ClearCare representative, what we need is an API integration, and I believe we can integrate this into ClearCare. However, if for some reason that doesn't work for you or it's not going to work, period, there's a couple of ways we can get around that. Number one, we can send them, we can do short applications and little bits of information just in your recruiting center that we set up for you. But when it comes to the full application, we can send them on to ClearCare to fill that out so they're in there. The other thing we can do is every time somebody fills out even a short application, just basic stuff on our system, it is exportable into an Excel spreadsheet or CSV, and you can import that into ClearCare all in one fell swoop. So once a week, you can import everybody into ClearCare and be done with it. But if you contact your representative, and they'll have to talk to us too, you get the API information, which I know is a bunch of tech speak, but we'll walk you through it, and we can set it up from there. And that says, so it's a form, but not the short app form. Okay, yes. So I'm going back to Annette's question about how everything gets triggered. Yes, on Facebook, we ask a couple of really short questions. And to be honest with you, Facebook lead ads, Facebook fills in all of their personal information automatically. So all they have to do is answer like 3 quick questions, yes or no. We don't get into it. We don't let them put comments or anything. So it's super easy and super fast, and it's on their phone. So it's really easy for them to answer those questions on Facebook. Okay, anonymous attendee, thank you for this informative webinar. You're very welcome. I'm going to put my little, screen back up there, asnmarketingplan.com, fill out the form. No obligation at all. But we want as many people as possible to try this out and say, and we want to know what other automations we can add to this. We don't charge for that, just so you know. Anybody who's our client here will tell you that as often as possible, we improve, increase, and we don't charge because we want you guys to be able to use this and take that front end off. Oh, I think there's some chat questions here. Hold on a second. Let me see. Is this being recorded? Yes, it is. Do you need access to our website? Nope. We don't need any access to your website. We don't want access to your website unless, of course, we built your website. But no, when we build your career center, then you have some options. What I tend to tell people is to put an apply now button or the link to employment, just change that to go straight to the career center that we set up. If you don't want to do that, because I know where you're coming from, Janet Keebler, I know where you're coming from. If you're a franchise and you can't change those links, that's okay. Every ad, everything we place will bypass your real website and it'll go straight to your recruiting center. That's okay too. Because I understand if you're a franchise owner, they're not going to want to make a bunch of changes to their website for you. It's a branding issue. There's all kinds of things there. But we can bypass it and just send everybody to the recruiting center. At least long enough for you to try it. Hold on, I got some more questions here. Oh, thank you so much. Yes, Annette is already on board. That's awesome. And yes, Janet, I know where you're coming from, baby. So, yep, we can bypass your website completely. We do not have to have access to it. What Hierology asks you to do is just change the link on your website to go straight to Hierology. Typically, that's what we would do too. If you're independent and you can do that, we give you the link and you send everybody moving forward to your little career center. And if you leave our services, you switch it back to whatever you were using before. No big deal. Okay, I think that is it, guys. If you have any more questions, please, please, please go to our website, fill out our form, let us know, and we'll help you there. Thanks so much. We want to help you have an easier time with all this recruiting stuff. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.